In part 2 of this assignment, we're going to go back and add the dimensions to fully constrain our 6 flat widget parts. You'll inspect these measurements with a dial caliper and a machinist rule. Please don't just go off of the measurements that I give you in this video. I want you to actually use the hands-on skills of using the tools to get the measurements yourself. So down at the bottom in our timeline, we can kind of see how our file was created, and it started off with the sketches and the extrusions for each individual widget. To go back into these widgets and update them with the actual dimensions, down here at the bottom, first thing, right click on your first sketch, edit sketch. That's going to bring us into our first sketch, and we're going to slowly just start to dimension this part. D to dimension, we're going to place this line right here, dimension that, and that's going to be, I'm just going to put it right there. You just want to try to put these dimension lines where they look nice. That is going to be 5.61, enter. I'm going to dimension this segment right here. That's going to be 1.87. Going to dimension the overall height, bottom to top, and that's going to be 3.74. Notice I don't need to dimension this value, and it's going to give me a message saying it's over constrained. That's because this dimension minus this dimension will give you that, so you don't really need that. We can inspect it there to there. 1.87 is correct. Okay. Now we can kind of grab our model and we can kind of see what we still have missing. So need to dimension this segment and this segment. D to dimension. Oops, I had something else selected. Dimension this top bar. That is 1.87. And this one right here is also over constrained because we have this overall width minus this 1.87 will give us that. And if you put it in here, click OK, it'll give you a little parentheses. That's not going to hurt anybody. You can kind of double check your measurements. And now when I try to drag this around, notice the outside perimeter is locked in. We now just need to dimension the holes and the location of those holes. D to dimension. Click on one of these circles. That circle has a diameter of 0.66. Enter. You can simply dimension the remaining holes the exact same way, or what you can do is use the equal constraint and make this equal to that and this one equal to that, so when you change and update your dimensions, in case you need to change it, it will be more parametrically linked. So if I make this 1 inch, notice all three are the same. You could also go and dimension your circles and then go back, double click on that dimension and click on your existing or your master dimension, your first dimension. That's actually dimension 31. Enter. Double click, click on there, D31, same thing. Okay, so now those circles are dimensioned. They're the right size, but they're not in the right place. We want these two circles to be from the bottom edge to the center of the circle 0.93. Same thing on here. We can do that exact same step, or we can make these two circles horizontal with each other. You can see how it shifted it down. Now those two circles are locked together on the same plane. But I can still move them around. D to dimension, I need to go center of the circle to here. That's going to be 0.93. And those circles are 1.87 apart. 1.87. Right click OK. Now those are getting all locked together, and if I bring that down and lock that in with the origin, that will help keep everything. You can now see the only thing that's left that's blue is this circle. Everything else is black and it's fully dimensioned. So D to dimension again, we're going to go center to edge. That distance is 0.93. enter. We could also do something like this. D to dimension, center to edge. Take this distance and divide it by 2. And that will basically give us the exact same thing. This distance divided by 2. D to dimension right there. And that's going to be 1.17. Enter. Now everything is fully dimensioned. Everything's black and fully constrained. I could even go back and get rid of my construction line if I wanted, just to kind of clean things up, but it's not really necessary. And it looks like it changed my sketch a little bit from blue to black. I'm just going to go ahead and pick that point, lock it in place. Whoa. So we need to make this line needs to be horizontal, this line needs to be vertical, this line vertical. Now we have our fully constrained sketch that doesn't move. Stop sketch. Moving on to the next part. It's going to be a little bit repetitive, so bear with me. You get that mastery through repetition. Right click on your sketch down the bottom, edit sketch. Going to go ahead and dimension the overall width of 5.25, 5 1/4. Overall height is going to be 2.875. This inside rectangle has a dimension right here of 3.25, 3 1/4 by 0.875 inches tall. And it is 1 inch from the edge right there. And also 1 inch from there to there. That should put us nice and centered. Now we need to dimension our circles. Those circles have a 1/4 inch diameter. You can type in 1/4. That will make it a decimal 1/4 of an inch. Make these two circles equal using the equal constraint. Are we done? No. Just notice, look, I can move around my rectangle. My circles are not positioned. Anytime you have a circle, you have both the diameter and the location dimension. So there's typically 3 dimensions involved with a circle: the diameter and its XY coordinate location in reference to usually an edge. So dimension circle to the bottom, and we're always going to be measuring off the center of our circle. 1.4375. And looks like it's going to be a 1/2 inch from this edge. 0.5. Here's a little trick if you want to measure to the edge of your circle. Right click. Go down here and say pick circle arc tangent. And now when we dimension there, it's actually measuring to the edge of the circle. So once again, right click and move this down to the arc tangent option, and that will allow you to put a dimension to the edge of the circle as opposed to the center. Okay, same thing on the other side. D to dimension. There to there is going to be that distance. And there to there, edge to center, place it, is going to be that 1/2 inch. Enter. Now everything's locked together. Everything's constrained. That's good. Widget number 2, stop sketch. This one's basically going to be pretty much the exact same thing if you don't have it down by now. Hopefully this will be your part. We have our rectangle. We're going to edit that sketch. D to dimension. Always using those keyboard shortcuts. We have an overall width of 5.5 by 3.25 inches tall. So our rectangle's dimension. Now we need to dimension these circles. They all have the same diameter, 0.707. So I'm going to dimension one of them, 0.707. And then use the equal constraint to make all of these the exact same diameter, since they are. Now we need to pick or place where they're going to be. I'm going to start with this one. It's going to be centered to this edge, 1 inch. It's also centered to that edge, 1 inch. These two circles are basically that same 1 inch from the bottom. So we're going to, wait, hold on, I was looking at my drawing upside down. Let me back it up. So ignore that last little bit. We're going to work our way this one. This is the one. My drawing sheet with my measurements is upside down compared to the cardboard part. I modeled it backwards. No big deal. Same part. Same concept. 1 inch there. 1 inch there. Horizontal, vertical. Make those horizontal. Looks like I'm still just messing up. Ah, man. Okay, so that one's like that. That hole is the center one. So that one's there. This hole, D to dimension, there to there. That's going to be 4.75. And then it's going to be 2.5 to the edge in the other direction. Okay, so that circle's locked in. This is the circle that's going to be horizontal. There we go. And that's going to be 3.5 to the center. Dimension there to there. 3.5. Okay, so this circle's good. Now we got to do this middle one. And that's going to be there to there. That's going to be 1.75. Here to here. We're looking at 2.5. No, that's not right. Once again, my upside down drawing is kicking my butt. Probably here. Dimension. Get rid of that one. 2.5 to the other edge. There we go. Cancel. Now looks like everything is locked together. Stop sketch. Widget 4. Edit that sketch. Dimension, our square is going to be 4.875 by 4.875. This one's a lot bigger than, actually this is 3.7. Maybe my drawing sheet is, there's been a revision, different change that's happened. So I'm going to make this 3.75. 3.75. Once again, you're actually just going to measure it yourself. D to dimension, this circle is going to be centered. So I'm going to take that, place it. That's going to be this number divided by 2. And same thing on this side right here. Place it. It's going to be this number divided by 2. Now that circle's centered. These circles are next. You make that vertical, vertical, horizontal, 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 horizontal. Click OK. D to dimension. This middle circle is going to be, I don't know, looks like, let's call it 1.1. This one's going to be 0.5. Equal, 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 equal. You call this one 0.25. Dimension, it's going to be there to there. It looks like we got about a 1/2 inch from the center to the edge. And then just basically repeat. Could use a circular pattern tool right here to kind of copy these circles over and over. It's a little monotonous, a little repetitive, but not that bad. And go back and make all of these. Looks like D70 is what we want. D70, so I'm just going to copy that. Enter. Paste it. Enter. I'm going to show you how to use the circular pattern tool on this set of holes. Okay, so I got my hole right there, 1/2 inch. This hole is dimensioned from bottom to there. We'll just call that 1.85. Dimension here to there, we'll just call that 0.94. That's a little too much. 0.75. Okay, so we got one circle all dimensioned and our XY reference edge coordinate picked out. We want to now go to sketch, circular pattern. Over here we have our window. Our object's going to be our circle and our center point. We gotta switch it down to center point. It's gonna be the center of this main circle, center of our part. And we want that 4 times. Click OK. So now if we make any changes, change that to like 0.9. No, that didn't do anything. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, made the distance shorter. Brought them all in. Okay. So that is everything for this widget. Okay, this widget, widget number 5. Just gonna start dimensioning our circles. Looks like our center circle has a diameter of 1.333, 1 and 333 thousandths. The outside circle has a radius, hence not a diameter because it's a partial circle of 1.579. The inside circle's 0.59 in diameter. Equal, since they're the same. And this has an outside radius, not equal, dimension radius of 1.086. Dimension, same thing, right there. And if we see what we can, ooh, that's kind of weird right there. Looks like we need to dimension distance from the center of our circle to that arc, or that center of our circle. Both circles have a 1.85 there. .85. looking better. Looks like we still have a little bit of weird stuff right here, so we need to make these circles horizontal with each other. Going on. Sometimes easier said than done. Let's try a line going across there. Horizontal. See if I can snap that down. Nope. Well, now we're just eyeballing it, so that's not any good. How about collinear? Nope, that only works with lines. This horizontal vertical should work. There we go. Worked on that side. Maybe I'm picking this arc. I don't know. That was weird. That's what I meant to do the first time. Okay, now click OK. Everything looks locked up. Don't need to extrude it. I just need to exit out of my sketch. And then the last widget, definitely the most involved, hardest widget, but not too bad. Gonna edit this sketch. Gonna go into our dimensions. Looks like let's just start with the easy ones. This circle has a diameter of 1 inch. And the slot is gonna have a center to center dimension of 1.67. And it's gonna be about 0.666 right there. Looks like I need to pull this one out a little bit, make this a little bit longer. Kind of stretch it a little bit. D to dimension, this is a 1/2 inch. And if we zoom out, we should see that update happen on the top and bottom because we mirrored it. This right here is 1 inch. This distance here to here is going to be 0.67. This radius 0.83. These lines need to be horizontal. There we go. Looks like this got a little out of whack, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can snap, trim. D to dimension, this radius right here is 1. Okay, things are starting to look better. Now as far as the location of the slot, could measure. This is a good opportunity to use that right click. You can go dimension, right click, arc tangent, and measure there to there. Just gonna call that 1 inch. Okay, right click. Okay, let's see if we got anything. If I pull it, looks like we still got a missing dimension there. So looks like the overall dimension from the center of this circle right here all the way over to here is going to be 4.667. And this definitely needs to be smaller. Let's do 0.5. Anytime you see the red, it's definitely not going to like that. It's not going to work. There we go. 0.5. That's all locked in. Can't move anything. It's fully constrained. If we kind of lock this in right, that's not going to work. Okay, stop sketch. There we go. That is part 2, adding the dimensions to your 6 flat widgets. Ideally, you'll be adding your dimensions as you're creating the model, but for this exercise, I wanted you to come back and focus on the measurements and not have to worry about the geometry, and kind of really understand how Fusion works as far as the parametric modeling, where you can make changes and so on. Notice, look at this widget right here. Looks like we're missing a hole. So what I actually need to do, or 3 holes, is go back. I see them in my sketch. I need to go back to my extrusion, edit that. Gonna deselect my profile and reselect that. There we go. Now it looks good. Remember to always save your work and have a great day.